Hey superstars, welcome to the Get Rich Without Being a Bitch podcast, and I am your host Vanessa for this journey. We're going to be challenging some stereotypes, shattering glass ceilings, really looking at what it takes to live richly and to design a business that's going to support the life that you really want to be living. I'm going to be sharing lots of tips, tools, and strategies along the way, and I can't wait for you to join me on this journey. Hey superstars, welcome back to another episode of Get Rich Without Being a Bitch. And we have been talking about some specific topics for women-owned law firms. And I'm going to be continuing that series and having a couple of amazing guests joining us on this journey too. So I'm really excited about what we've got coming up. And I want to just dive in today to a part of goal setting that you probably don't hear about too often. But for me, it's like a really massive missing link. And I think that this could be a game changer in terms of just how you show up to a goal setting, but then that process of goal achievement. Now, I'm thinking about this, and this is often the example that I share because I am about to travel for the summer. Those of you that have been tuning in for a while, you will know that travel is a massive part of my life. Since, I've been traveling for years, but honestly, really ramping it up now for probably about the last 7, 8-ish, even more years, where we take off for weeks and weeks in the summer. Frankly, you need to do that here in Arizona. It is so scorching hot, and it's going to be really scorching hot for at least like 3.5 months. So we want to get out of here, and it's our chance to travel the world, do some different things, family, friends, test, taking the business on the road as well, and also test our systems and team and how much or little am I needed in the business, right? So that's a whole other topic for another time. But specifically to this part around goal achievement, it's coming up for me because, as I say, I'm about 10 days off of 3 months of travel. And it's the power of using expectation when we set goals and we get into that process of goal achievement. Because as I'm approaching, this period of travel, I am expecting it to happen, right? We set this intention. In fact, we actually started to plan out pretty much a year ago, 13 months ago, a key part of this particular trip, right? So this has been 12, 13 months in the making. And there's a lot of complexity. There's a lot of countries involved. There's a lot of different things. There's a lot of different modes of transport and, kind of like planes, trains, and automobiles, to be quite honest. I'm not sure that we're doing trains on this one, but we've certainly got the cars, many planes, and we have certainly got some boats as well, right? So there's a lot of different logistics to pulling this together. And it's not just been me organizing it. I kind of set the vision for what I want to do for my vacation, very much like I set the vision in my business. And then I have team, right, that's going to start to execute on parts of it. And again, there's parts of it that I'm responsible for. Now, in this particular case, a lot of the logistics, I'm really fortunate because I have an amazing team member when it comes to travel who I happen to be married to, who loves the problem solving, right, of like all of those different planes and minimizing the, unnecessary layovers and wasting time and like making it super efficient, but also making it enjoyable, right? So that's my husband, Robert, that like dives into that. And then there's friends that we're going to be with and family members. So, right, all these pieces start to come together. And I think about this very much in a business, right? How as the leader, we set the vision, like that direction. This is what we're going to be doing. We are going to be going right to Europe for X amount of weeks or months next year. So I've set the vision, right? And the direction and the goals for our European travel. Now I've got, as I say, my key team member, my husband, that's going to do all the logistics. There's still some pieces that, of course, I'm involved in. And frankly, I want to be involved in. But the piece around this that everybody is on board with, and I think this is such a distinction for business, is when it comes to our planning our travel, it is going to happen, right? The expectation is set. We are going to Europe on this date. We will be getting on this flight. We will arrive. We will be going to these different countries, right? There has never, ever been any part of this that was doubting that it was actually going to happen. Now, were there some parts where we didn't know exactly what we were going to do? Like some strategies or pieces that needed to be filled in? Yes, there were. But the fact of the goal being achieved and that it's going to happen was always going to happen. And everybody is on board with that. And then I want you to think about this, because I think about this for myself as well. The energy that drives, right? There is a deadline. There are certain things that now have to happen. The flights that need to be booked, the hotels, right? The transport, the this, the that, right? All of those other things that have to come into play, right? We start to get into, as I said, I'm about 10 days out at this point. And frankly, by the time you listen to this, you could be watching me on Instagram, frankly, either after or during, right, this trip and actually seeing it happening, like witnessing it happening. And of course, now we're getting into these last minute details, right? Soon we'll be pulling out the cases and I'm looking at what am I taking, and there's dog sitters to get it organized, right? And things around the home, like the whole setup of going away. But the piece, again, the core piece that drives this is expectation. Always expecting it is going to happen. We are going on this trip. There is no should we, shouldn't we? Well, if we can, we hope that it will figure out, but perhaps we'll delay. Perhaps we can't do it in that time frame, right? It's a full-on commitment. And that full-on commitment to going on the trip drives then that, that action plan, but the expectation that it's going to happen. I really invite you to think about if you were setting goals in your firm and really then approaching goal achievement as, no, this is going to happen. As the leader, I expect that this is going to happen. And I expect it is going to happen because I'm setting the vision, I'm setting the direction, I'm setting very clear goals, I'm setting milestones, I am checking off all of those things. I am getting other people on board with it, right? So there is no doubt that this is going to happen. I know for me, this has been a very, very powerful shift. And whenever I've sat down with our clients and we've gone through that process of goal setting and goal achievement and then really like looking at what needs to happen, often the expectation is the piece that is lacking. And that's a wonderful place for you to really dig in, right? What is it that causes you to question that it's not going to happen? I didn't know, frankly, a year ago when we set this in motion, how we were going to pull it off. We didn't even know for how long, how many countries, all of the different things, what was going to be happening with business. I mean, all of those things. There were a lot of, unknown things. But again, it was that commitment that started getting us into really problem solving. Okay. But if we start to get, open the door for self-doubt, second guessing, this is when we start to delay. Oh, I don't know if it's really possible. Let's start to shift the deadline, right? We get wishy-washy and then we wonder why we can't get our team members on board with things, or we keep kind of kicking the can down the road. So again, this is really something for you to take away from today's episode is, where are you using expectation? Where are you not using it? Are you using expectation negatively or are you using it positively, right? When I say negatively, that's that whole self-doubt, right? Oh, I'm expecting that this isn't going to work out. I'm expecting that this is going to be difficult. I'm expecting that finding my next team member is going to be really, really difficult and tiresome and time consuming, right? That's using that expectation negatively. What if you start to really shift that into setting that expectation differently, right? Using it as a powerful, positive fuel, right, for action and motivation inside of your firm. As always, superstars, love to hear what's resonated with you today around this. Please like, comment, share this episode with another woman that you care about that needs to hear this content. And of course, I always appreciate receiving a 5-star positive review that you can leave on your favorite podcast platforms. See you in the next episode.